Yes, she has obviously missed. See, the focus on manufacturing has not been to the extent that we expected, because even when she has announced the Mudra loan increase to 20 lakhs for the Tarun category of borrowers who have been prompt payers on the Mudra scheme, she has not mentioned that it will be focused more on manufacturing sector. Because if you see, 80 to 85% of the Mudra loans have been given to the services sector, not to the manufacturing sector. That's why manufacturing startups so far have not picked up. And the so-called, Make in India schemes or Startup India schemes, when we are talking of angel tax has been a disincentive, which she has now chosen to remove. But the mere removal is not going to add as an incentive for the investors to really come into this particular sector and invest in the micro small enterprises, because the ecosystem for investment in micro small enterprises has not been created. I would have wished that she would have enticed the investment in micro small enterprises by way of equity from the vendors, namely the large and medium-sized sector enterprises could have been given certain incentive to invest in their supply chain micro and small enterprises by way of equity. That would have given them push for getting more secure debt, and that she has not done. Therefore, even by removing angel tax, angel investors are not going to line in queue and queue up and then come for the rescue of the micro, small, and enterprises. In fact, micro, small enterprises at the beginning of the supply chain of any manufacturing company could have been given better attention in the budget. That was a little omission that we found, despite some of the other positives that have come in the micro small enterprise sector in terms of, she advised the banks not to rely on the traditional rating mechanisms for lending them. Second one is that for term loans, she has extended guarantee mechanism separately, because today there is a disproportionate lending between the term loans and the working capital loans, and that can be bridged now. The term lending portfolio has not been picking up at all during the past virtually 10 years, which means that investment by the micro small enterprises in capital assets or the machinery and equipment of latest technology has not been taking place to the desired extent. And even the technology development fund that has been there with the micro small medium enterprise ministry has not been offloaded to these micro small enterprises, because delivery mechanisms of the entire incentives for the micro small enterprises has not been spelled out clearly anywhere. And there are 240 schemes which are on platter between hovering between 32 ministries for the sake of micro small medium enterprises, and many of these incentives have nearly really reached them, and very fractile percentage has reached these people. Therefore, there is a need for looking at the delivery mechanisms, which has not really addressed in the budget. And the other advantage that we can perhaps think when we are talking about the budget is the fiscal prudence. She has really kept up at 4.9%, a 0.2% decline, and then projecting it for 4.5% in 25-26 is a good measure, no doubt. But then she is not very sure as to how she is going to achieve this when the when she is depending more on the multilateral agencies to lend for different set of schemes. If you notice, she has not drawn resources much from the local resources, domestic resources. She has been relying more on the other areas, and particularly the employment incentive she has connected to the 500 top rated companies of the country is not going to take off at all, according to me, for one reason or the other. For the simple reason I would say is that the incentive she has announced for taking internees into the organization for a full 1 year, and she would be giving the incentive of rupees 5,000 per month by way of EPFO or the ESIC, and that guaranteed mechanism, to what extent it will work, we will have to wait and see. And to what extent these top enterprises will pick up, we'll have to wait and see, particularly because they have to dovetail the CSR mechanism towards this purpose. And if CSR mechanism has to be driven, she could have given jolly well an instruction that CSR funding could take place towards this direction, and micro small enterprises investment will be treated on par with the rest of the type of investments under CSR. If she had made that announcement, it would have made more sense, and it would have been more easy for the institutions to deliver as well, and monitoring mechanisms could have been installed for that purpose, which she has not done. Therefore, in the job enrichment and skill development arena, she has really announced path-breaking solutions. The effectiveness of that will depend more upon the delivery and instrumentality, particularly the ITIs, polytechnics, the engineering colleges, etc., where they need to be bolstered up for providing the wherewithal for the micro small enterprises. This connectivity incentive is not very clearly spelled out, and specific allocations are not also seen in the budget towards this particular purpose. Therefore, she may be depending upon external resources for giving these type of investments into the sector. Employment linked incentive again is concerned. 1 month wage up to 15,000 crores for the new formal sector entrants to benefit 20 lakh youth in the manufacturing sector is a welcome step. But every year you will find new additions coming up in the unemployed lot. So how are you going to address them? And the existing backlog will be taken care of, particularly by this measure, but not the new entrants that come into the employment market could be taken care of by this. There is only limited entry focus on the internees to be taken, and then they can get absorbed in the related skills. But what we today need is at the local level, micro level, you need more electricians, more toolmen, more jobbers, more welders, and the type of skills that are required for these types of entrepreneurs, these type of persons is very limited, and they get into more technological advancement once they get into AI and ML. Take it from me, there will be more job losses than job additions, because they would speed up the processes in such a manner that certain technologies will become redundant. And another thing that we need to consider for micro small enterprises is technologies being very short life driven. They are at best for 3 years or 5 years. When they want to replace the technology, they don't find the funding. The banks would not come forward. The other financial institutions show little interest, and there is no specific mechanism of grant supported credit for this type of interventions. Therefore, the micro small enterprises, if they want to be really globally competitive, government has to consider necessarily the technology upgradation development fund to flow in a particular direction that will reach the beneficiaries as though it is a direct benefit transfer. And there are checks and balances that can be introduced for this particular purpose. And since there is budget discussion that is likely to take place, maybe that this point she may consider and revise certain of the provisions towards this particular purpose, which will take off the MSMEs on a global plane.